Have you ever wondered what it is that really truly grabs you in a story? I mean, is it just the chain of events, or is it something deeper? Something kind of electric? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret engine that powers our favorite stories. Look, we've all heard the words story and plot thrown around, sometimes like they're the exact same thing. But what if I told you that the simple difference we all learned in school is actually hiding a much more radical, much more powerful idea about how storytelling really works? So, here's the plan. We're going to start with the basics, the standard definitions. Then we'll dig into a huge misunderstanding about where those definitions came from. After that, we dive head first into Viktor Shklovskiy's wild idea, this thing called defamiliarization. And you know what? We'll even see how it all connects back to ancient Greece and, most importantly, why any of this matters to you today. Okay, so first things first, let's get on the same page with the definition you'd find in, pretty much any literature textbook. So usually this whole thing gets broken down into two fancy-sounding terms. On one hand, you've got the fabula, which is basically the story. It's the raw material, right? The events in order from A to B to C. It's the simple what happened. And on the other hand, you've got the sujet. That's the plot. This is the how you actually get the story, the artistic arrangement with all the flashbacks, the foreshadowing, the jumping around in time. Seems pretty straightforward, yeah? Well, you knew there was a but coming, right? Here's the thing. That super neat, super tidy definition, it's not the original. It's more like a popular cover song that kind of misses the soul of the original track. Turns out, the version we all know and love was made famous by a theorist named Boris Tomaszewski. And his whole goal was to make things systematic, to create this clean model that was easy to understand and easy to teach. But in the process of smoothing it out, he kind of lost the radical genius of the guy who actually came up with it. Tomaszewski's definition is super practical, right? Story is the action, plot is how we learn about it. In this view, the plot is just a container, a box that holds the story. But for the originator of the concept, Viktor Šklovskij, the plot wasn't the container at all. It was a force of nature. So let's get into Šklovskij's head, because he wasn't interested in a neat little box. No, he was interested in the energy, the electricity that was buzzing inside the machine. And this is the game-changing idea. For Šklovskij, the sujet, the plot, isn't the finished product. It's not the beautifully arranged bouquet of flowers. It's the dynamic, chaotic, active force. It's the very act of arranging itself. What this means is, as you're reading a book or watching a movie, the sujet is this engine that you can actually feel working. You can feel it twisting and deforming the story in real time. You're not just looking at a finished structure, you are experiencing its construction, moment by moment. This quote right here, it flips everything we think we know on its head. We usually assume the story is the main event and the plot is just how it's presented. Šklovskij comes along and says, nope, you've got it completely backward. The story, the fabula, is just raw material. It's like a lump of clay that exists only to be shaped and brought to life by the plot. So the whole hierarchy is inverted. The sujet, the artistic device, that force of construction, that's the real star of the show. And the fabula, the story about a hero's journey or a tragic romance, that's just the excuse, the raw material needed to let the device do its incredible work. But why, right? Why would the how be more important than the what? Well, for Šklovskij, the entire purpose of art wasn't just to tell a story. It was to wake us up, to pull us out of our automatic, zombie-like way of seeing the world. He had a name for this, ostrananie, or defamiliarization. The idea is to make the form of the story strange, maybe even a little difficult. This forces us to slow down and actually pay attention. The artistic construction isn't invisible anymore. In fact, the act of perceiving it, of figuring it out, becomes the whole point. So with this lens, the real content of a novel isn't the murder mystery. The true content is our own awareness of the form. It's that aha moment when we see how the author is playing with time or messing with our expectations. We become conscious of the art itself. Šklovskij said it perfectly with this amazing quote. In art, blood is not bloody. It just rhymes with flood. What he means is that an element in a story isn't there for its real-world significance. It's there for how it serves the artistic form, how it sounds, the rhythm it creates, the image it paints. Content serves form, always. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like a pretty wild avant-garde idea from the 20th century. But what's fascinating is that Šklovskij was actually plugging into a philosophical concept that's over 2,000 years old. Believe it or not, Šklovskij was a huge fan of Aristotle's Poetics. He realized that even the ancient Greeks understood that art isn't just about copying reality. It's about the very active making of constructing something new and powerful. The specific concept is energia. Now, for Aristotle, this wasn't just energy like we think of it. It meant actuality, or the state of being at work. It's the crucial difference between a pile of bricks and the active process of building a house. And this is where it all clicks together beautifully. Šklovskij's sujet is the energia of a story. It's that active, being at work force that gives a narrative its pulse, its aliveness, its unity. You could even say that the sujet is the very soul of the work. Okay, so we've got the simple textbook definition on one side and this deep philosophical one on the other. What's the big takeaway for us right now as we curl up with a book or binge watch a series? Well, here's the final showdown. The common view treats a story like a finished object in a museum, something static to be admired from a distance. But Šklovskij's view invites us to feel the story as a living process, a dynamic, unfolding energy that is actively shaping itself right in front of us. And that is the absolute key. It lets us stop just passively asking, what happens next, and start actively feeling the push and pull of the construction itself. We start to realize that for a true master storyteller, the way the story is told is the story. It's a really powerful shift in perspective. So the next time you get lost in a movie or a great book, just ask yourself this: are you just following the story, or are you feeling its soul?